Well, hello there. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome. My name is Olivia, and I've been a type 1 diabetic for just about 20 years now, and I have been on a mission since being diagnosed with diabetes to find ways to make living with diabetes more sustainable and more enjoyable, and I want to help you guys here on YouTube do the same. So 3 months ago, if you are not aware, I got set up with the Omnipod 5 insulin pump. Up until that point, I have lived my diabetic life refusing technology because, to be quite honest, I trust myself a lot more than I trust technology. But before then, I've been on the Dexcom G7 for about a year now, and before that, I was on the Dexcom G6. And I will say I've enjoyed this piece of technology, being able to constantly monitor my blood sugar. So the Dexcom is the continuous glucose monitor that sends notifications to my phone what my sugar is, and it also sends notifications to my husband's phone, which has been a huge help. We have 2 toddlers at home, and living in a world where you don't know what's going on with your own blood sugar or your spouse's blood sugar is quite scary. So getting this hooked up once we had kids was a huge lifesaver. Now, 3 months ago, I got hooked up with the Omnipod 5 because we are contemplating having a 3rd child, and I knew that before getting pregnant with a 3rd kid, I wanted to have an insulin pump because I've heard that it really does help your blood sugars and make a huge difference. So I got set up on that 3 months ago. So this is my 3-month check-in on how it's going. So I checked in on the glucose app, Gluco, which is what Omnipod uses to basically create reports on how it's going overall with your sugars. And I checked in there, and it looks like my sugars are 83% in range. And it is evident, well, I can tell personally because I'm the one living with it, but also through the reports that my sugars have been running a little bit higher than I'm used to the past few months. But the low blood sugar spells, which was a common occurrence in my house beforehand, they have kind of become obsolete. They've gone away. So the insulin pump 100% has made a big difference in my low blood sugar tests, whereas it is a little bit hairy with my sugars being high. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, that could be 100% on me, just because maybe I'm not carb counting correctly. Maybe it could be the technology, but if I'm being 100% honest, I think it's more of a me problem than this problem. So as a backstory, I've been diabetic for 20 years now, and I didn't trust technology, as I'm sure a lot of diabetics do not. And I've not always carb counted. What I've typically done is I would look at a food item and say, that looks like 6 units, or that looks like 11 units, or however many I thought. I would eyeball everything. I never weighed things. I didn't count them because I've been diabetic for a long time. And comment in the comments if you agree. But once you've been diabetic for a long time and have been giving yourself shots for so long, you just know, looking at something, what to take. So honestly, being on the pump has been a big learning curve for me, because I'm used to taking my long acting twice a day and then taking my short acting whenever I eat. And I'm used to looking at my food items and knowing what to take and taking it. Whereas now, this is completely different because it 100% does short acting. So I don't know how much I should take. So I've been having to do a better job at trying to carb count. And I really need to do better carb counting. I really do. But it's hard. You know, not many people have the time to sit there and weigh their food out and to get the measuring cups out and get the scale out and really figure out exactly what you're eating, especially when you have 2 toddlers. I just don't have the time, with 2 kids hanging on my pant leg, go and carb count, which I know is what my doctor is going to tell me I need to do a better job at. So if you're looking at getting the Omnipod pump, just keep in mind that carb counting is really important with this. I can't be the only diabetic in the world who used the just look at it method, but that's one thing I need to work on. But 83% of the time I'm in range, which I think is still pretty good. I love the fact that I don't have to worry about my low blood sugar drops like I used to, because that was a huge problem. And if I'm being honest, I'd rather have my sugars be high than be low, because you can function a lot better with them at 200 than you can at 50, as everyone knows. One story I do want to hop on and tell you guys about, because it was kind of a scary story, and it happened 2 weeks ago, and it was my first time I looked at this and said, you know what, I might go back to doing things the way I used to. So it all started in the morning. I changed my Dexcom. It was the 10th day, changed my Dexcom, and everything looked fine. I put the Dexcom on, and it was working. So it was time for me to also change my Omnipod that same day. So I went and I did that, put the Omnipod on. I'm getting my kids ready to church. We're about to head out the door, and I hear a loud beep from the receiver, just a constant beep. And then my pump starts making this loud beeping sound, beep. So I go back and look at the receiver, and it says, pump failed, replace now. It was weird. I've never had that happen before, but I took the pump off, I put a new one on, and I went to church. Off I went. I said, oh, that's weird. I'll call Omnipod later to see if they can send me a replacement out, and also kind of find out why that happened. So in the middle of church, the same thing happens. It beeps, and then my pump starts beeping. And I'm like, well, crap, this is kind of weird. So I go get my kids. I go home because I didn't have a replacement on me because I just didn't foresee anything like that happening again. So I came home, took the pump off, replaced it, put a new one on, and a few minutes later, it happened again. So I'm on the phone with Omnipod, and I'm talking to someone. I'm talking to the gentleman that, you know, was assigned to help me, and he doesn't seem to really know what was going on. He asked me the information about my pods. He said he could send me a replacement for my pods, and that's kind of as far as he could get. I said, well, do you know why this happened? Because it happened 3 times in a row. And let's just remind everyone, it's not just about these pods that they're sending me for free, but I put 150 units of insulin in each one of these pods. So I was telling him, hey, you're making me waste a ton of medicine. Like, once you put the medicine into these pods, you're not supposed to take it back out. Now, I understand, yeah, technically I could take it out of this pod, but I wasn't doing that. And they tell you not to. So it just was annoying me because I felt like the representative was just okay that I had just tossed out 450 units of medicine. That's a lot of freaking medicine. But while I'm on the phone with him, the pod failed again. The 4th time the pod failed. And I said, I don't know what's going on and why these keep failing, but I'm about to just stop because this is scary. Obviously, it's not giving me medicine. It's not telling me why they're failing. And you're not telling me any, great reason why it's failing. And he said, you know what? Maybe try taking your Dexcom off, replacing Dexcom, and then try putting on your pod again. And I'm like, well, I don't seem to be having a problem with Dexcom right now. Why would I need to do that? He said, I'm not really sure, but just try. So I said, well, you know what? It's Sunday. I can't call my doctor. I can't, if this is the only joker that I have helping me, I'm just going to do what he says. So I replaced Dexcom, and I put the new pod on, and it worked. And I actually just replaced Dexcom today. So this was 10 days ago, and the pod has been fine ever since I changed Dexcom. So he sent me 4 replacements out. That was very, very nice. Technically, I lost 600 units of insulin in those pods, right? 154 times. Yeah, 600 units of insulin I threw away from these pods failing. We still don't know exactly 100% why, but we could just assume that it was because of Dexcom and because of Omnipod. I'm not sure if anyone has ever experienced anything similar to that. If you have, please put in the comments below, because Omnipod couldn't help me. So then, put them aside, I called Dexcom because, one, I just took this off. I wanted a replacement. And first off, Dexcom sucks with sending replacements. I had to beg and plead for them to send me a replacement of one of these. It's like begging. Like, hey, I explained it in the whole story, and the guy said, well, why would I send you a replacement when it doesn't sound like it was our problem? It was Omnipod failing, not Dexcom. I'm like, listen, I don't know, but all I know is when I put a new Dexcom on, it all worked. So I'm not sure if there was a communication error that somewhere it was messed up, causing Omnipod to fail, but it failed 4 times, and that was scary, and it really made me want to switch out because I had never had a problem like that occur before, and it was so frustrating because in a world when things are constantly going on and you have this thing beeping at you every 5 minutes telling you to replace it, put more insulin in it, insulin's not free. I mean, I could go on and on and on for an hour about how frustrating that day was when this kept happening. But I wanted to share it with you guys because, one, I don't know if I'm alone and maybe I'm the only person in the world that's ever experienced that. Or maybe someone else has experienced it and can share with me in the comments why that happened. But regardless, I wanted to share that story because I know the Omnipod is great and technology is great, but the fact that it fails is super damn frustrating. And someone had commented on one of my other Omnipod videos and said, you know what, it sounds great, but I just trust myself more than technology. And I could totally relate to that because I agree. Because you know what, when this kept failing 4 times, I know I wouldn't have failed 4 times, but this just did. Now, Omnipod was nice. The guy didn't know what he was talking about, but he did send me 4 replacements, so thank you for that. And Dexcom, eventually, after begging and pleading, they did send me a replacement, which was nice. So there's that. And yeah, that was the wrap of that story. So if anyone has any insight on that, please leave it in the comments below. But overall, my experience with Omnipod and Dexcom has been okay. It has been swell. I definitely want to try to give myself a goal of trying to do better with keeping an eye on my carb counting, because I feel like that will make a huge difference. And I don't want to sit here and say that it's Omnipod's fault that my sugars have been running high, because it's not. I do think that I need to do a little bit better myself. So that will be my new goal. I'm going to try doing better. So hopefully the next update, I'll be able to update you guys on how it's been with me doing better carb counting and putting a more accurate carb count into Omnipod. Because how it works, if you don't know, with Omnipod, when you go to put a bolus in, it asks you how many carbs you're eating. So that's why I keep referring to carb counting, because you need to know what you're putting in your mouth to really be able to give you an accurate dosage. And as mentioned before, 20 years of just looking at food and guesstimating and knowing how my body is, it's just not the same anymore. So if you're looking at getting on the insulin pump or any insulin pump, keep that in mind. Once you go on the pump, guesstimating that system, it's a lot harder to do so. But I hope that this video helped you guys out a little bit. I wanted to share that story with you, and I also wanted to share a little bit about how my experience has been going, because I know a lot of people are looking to go onto the Omnipod or an insulin pump, and they're looking for guidance here on YouTube. And as a type 1 diabetic who made the plunge, I know that it is one of the biggest decisions of your life when you're a diabetic and you're going on technology to take care of you. I know it's a big plunge to get started on insulin pump, because it's taking everything you know and all of your trust and you're putting it into technology, a robot. It's a big thing to wrap your head around. So I hope I was able to help you guys either come to terms or think about it a little bit more, give you a different lens to look through. And I really appreciate you guys checking me out today. Please give this video a big thumbs up. It helps me more than you know. And I will see you guys in my next update about Omnipod and Dexcom, when I hopefully have done better carb counting. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.